Slawsa, we've been talking about. Julie Busha was with Slawsa, went on Shark Tank coming up this past Friday, and I know a lot of you saw it. I didn't see it live. We've seen it. We're going to look at it now, but I've seen the interviews with her and what she put on YouTube and all that about the experience. And here it is, courtesy of Shark Tank.
There's some ads, Rick, that have to go roll through.
Yeah, and we're going to look at some of this. It was really strange, and we'll interview about it next. It appeared that all of the sharks loved the product, were fired up about it, and then just wouldn't invest in it. And to me, she was so much further along than a lot of the ideas they get, and maybe that was part of it.
They thought some of the upside was gone in it. But Rick, here's the thing too. I don't know. I watch the show casually.
Yeah.
It's interesting when I do see it. I wish I watched it more. But the money they're putting in, does the show give them that to invest? Is that?
I think they as individuals.
That's their own money.
From what I gather, I may be wrong.
But I mean, are they paid? How much are they paid to be on the show? Whatever. Because I mean, they can't sit up there week after week and fork out $150,000, $200,000.
Million. I mean,
some could, some couldn't.
And
but I mean, everybody has an end. I mean, how much you can spend. Right. Michael Jackson, for instance.
Well, in like their case, in the Slawsa case, you want $150,000 for 15% of the business. To them, that's not a whole lot of money.
Alternative to conventional condiments.
Here we go. Here's Julie on the condiments. That's what you call ketchup, mustard, relish.
Right. I call it fixins.
Hello, Sharks. My name is Julie Boucher, and my product is Slawsa. I'm seeking a $150,000 investment for 15% of my company. Tell me, when was the last time you were at a grilling or tailgating event and someone actually complimented the host or hostess on their condiments? Well, it probably never happened because, let's face it, traditional condiments are boring, and they haven't changed in decades.
Good point.
But what if I said I had the condiment that will change your lives? Introducing Slawsa, a unique cross between
She's a go-getter too, by the way.
and a salsa. It's great on your grilling fare, like your hot dogs, brats, burgers. Use it as a sandwich spread or even as a dip for tortilla chips. Right now, I'd like for you all to taste Slawsa and how truly slawsome it is.
Okay.
Slawsa.
I'm a nervous wreck.
Now we have 4 flavors.
Wait till
For the
Sarah
garlic
turned down.
lovers like Robert, we have
And
a
you have to
garlic
stand
and a
there
garlic.
Please tell me
Turning it
nobody
up.
bites it and spits it
We
out or
have
anything.
the
Now, they all seem to like it. That's why I think
That
she
would
was...
be better.
Speedy, I'm going to prepare you. She gets emotional in a minute.
Yeah, she does. She even talks about that openly. She does cry, by the way.
Really?
Just to prepare you. Yeah, if you want to move ahead to that, you can. If you want to fast forward some.
You got to be careful if you go too far.
This is a cross between a slaw, so
Pal don't like
cabbage,
it.
and a salt.
No, go on ahead. Oh, no. Oh, she's getting emotional already. Hold on, let me go back.
Okay.
Right.
And it's a brine. Ours is a hot fill process, so it is
So
a little
you
bit
have
more
a
labor
co-packer
intensive.
doing this for you?
Yes.
Tell me what it costs you to make it, what you sell it for?
All the flavors. Right now is $1.25.
Okay. And you sell it for?
$2.25.
And can you tell me, based on the buyout of your partner, if you're paying that person a royalty at all?
I am. Comes out to about 0.66% to up to a little bit over 2%.
Is there a limit to it?
There is a limit. It is not perpetuity.
What are you going to use 150 for?
Because of the buyout, and that is my responsibility. I am not putting that against the company. So,
That's not on the books.
right. That is not on the
It
books.
comes
So-
out of your profits, or how do you?
No, it comes out of my personal savings. My husband and I have been extremely.
Speedy.
Here we go. Sorry, Speedy.
No. See, I can't watch this.
There goes Speedy.
Sorry,
We've
Speedy.
lost him, trying to tell you.
Speedy, we warned you. We gave you ample warning.
Fiscally responsible.
I'm closing my
We
eyes.
graduated college debt-free because we earned scholarships. When it came time to buy our first house, we bought a house half of what the lender approved us to buy. We've never paid a penny of credit card.
By the way, Dave Ramsey would love
interest in our lives
both of them.
because we don't live beyond our means. If we had not saved up, I wouldn't have taken a leap to become an entrepreneur. So that's my responsibility. It's the buyout. I would like the money for increased production because I know the $50,000 I have in there is only going to last so long because we are expanding rapidly.
Are you currently taking a salary?
I am not. And I'm okay doing that for a couple years of
For a
not
couple of
taking a
years?
salary.
You're going to work.
How are you living?
Yeah, how are you living?
My husband and I saved a good amount of money.
Good for you. Julia, I love what you're doing. Setting an example for people around the country, around the world. give up a little bit, save your money,
Yep.
and put yourself in an amazing position
Pay yourself first.
to be successful.
Yes.
You're an example like we rarely have in here.
Thank you.
I wish I could do more for you. You know, I love it. I'll be a customer. I'll Slawsa a lot, but it's not
Like
really.
to get in those stadiums, Mark.
But that's not enough for me to do an investment. I'm out.
That hurt.
All right.
Julie, here's what I've learned about you in the short time
Okay.
we've spent together. You're one tough cookie,
Okay.
right? I mean,
That's a compliment.
you know, you set yourself up for success. But I find it too sweet.
Okay.
Just me personally,
Right.
I like really, really spicy mustard.
And we can go with the spicier flavor.
I wish you all
base
the
it on
best, but I'm out.
Oh my goodness, everybody's out.
He based it on that. That's
Rick.
I would like to have a partner because I've never scaled a business the way I need to scale this. I'm not going to need my handheld, and I haven't needed my handheld for several years.
Well, I tasted the product, and my opinion in regards to the taste of the product doesn't matter because your sales proves me wrong. But if I'm not excited about the product, it's really hard for me to get behind it.
Well, that's a shame.
I'm out.
Oh, my
goodness.
Sorry, Speedy.
I see your passion, but 15% stake, you're actually not worth that right now. But rather than beat you up on your
Can
valuation.
I would like to tell you why I'm worth $1 million.
Why?
To go from 212 to 500, it would be not very wise of me to not project my next year's sales as closer to my valuation.
But think about the risk for an investor. For that kind of valuation, it doesn't reflect the risk in a one-woman business. You could walk out of the Shark Tank tonight and get run over by a bus. And that's the end of this company.
Well, that's
Yeah, so there it was. And we'll talk to Julie Boucher next. She'll tell us about the experience.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
You know, we talked about Slawsa here on the program for a couple of years now. It is a delicious gourmet topping and condiment for, brats. And we at our house, we love it on hot dogs. Oh, gosh, it's so good. And the sausage dogs and things like that. And we love it. And a lot of you all across the audience have really fallen in love with it. Shark Tank had Julie Boucher come on to the show and stand before the sharks and see if they wanted to invest in this company that is really blowing and going. And Julie joins us now. Julie, I know you. I've seen the interviews you've done. I've watched your YouTube clip, alongside the show. Could you have been more shocked that no one wanted to invest after that presentation?
And it just wasn't me. I was honestly astonished because, and of course, you only get to see a very edited 8-minute segment, but I was in there probably an hour. And every single question that they threw at me, I had answers for. They weren't negative at all. I don't think they had the opportunity to really be negative. But when I walked off the set, my producer, her jaw was hanging out. I think a lot of people came in to watch the pitch because they just assumed there would be a shark fight. And it just didn't happen. I was the last person to pitch on a Sunday night, which probably didn't help. But at the same time, I like to think that, they would give everybody an equal shot.
Well, hey, Julie, this is Bubba. I thought you did a great presentation. And, we were watching it, and we were just a little surprised, too. Now, you were last on the show, right?
You know what? No, on the show, I was the second one on the show. But when I taped,
Right.
I taped back in July. It was July 14th. I was supposed to tape on a Saturday, and they pushed me back till Sunday, and I was the very last person to tape on a Sunday night. So I think I don't even think I even went into the tank until about 7 p.m. So I think one of the sharks might have already decided before I even started. He's just ready to go to dinner. But I feel like I got an equal shot. The sharks that I presented to, for the most part, don't invest in food companies. It's a very tough category. I think a few of them have been burned in the past, so they tend to shy away from the food category. They tend to try to invest in something that they know.
Right.
So Mark Cuban wants to invest in tech. They want to invest in something that they can provide additional value beyond the money. So Damon John wants to invest in something where maybe manufacturing is involved overseas.
So you think really the group of investors that you were able to present, for the most part, this just isn't really their thing?
Correct. And they have to have a passion for it, too. I think the one thing that kind of disappointed me from the edit, it probably seemed that the Sharks didn't like Slawsa. I know they edit, when you saw Mark talk at the end, he said he'd be a customer for life. I know he said he loved it. Lori Grenier, she not only was raving about the spicy, she cleaned off her plate, and then she cleaned off Robert's plate, and then she was going for Kevin's plate. So she absolutely loved it, too. But, Slawsa is probably not a QVC item, probably because, our price point is very affordable and we're already in a lot of mass retailers right now. So,
Julie, you may be a victim of you're doing something so specialized and something so revolutionary that they really can't get their hands around it. I thought you made a good presentation on the condiment history. Hasn't changed a lot, so I don't know that if you didn't scare them a little bit.
And again, Slawsa is different. It's different than most of the things that are out there, and maybe they want to invest in things that they know, like cupcakes and brownies and food items that are, that are already out there. The reality is, in the food world, those items that are just all-natural versions of something else that's out there, they're going to have a much harder sell to buyers than something unique and different.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why. And even at the airing of the show, when I pitched, we were in about 4,200 stores. We're in about 5,200 stores now. So even just in the last month, last couple months, another 1,000 stores came on board, even before finding out about Shark Tank. And hopefully this exposure helps just catapult our brand into the consciousness of America.
Well, you and your husband and worked so hard at this, and I know with the folks that work with us that you invested in our show through them, told us from the very beginning that you guys really get after it, that you work hard, and when we started putting it out there to the people, I'm like Bubba said in the break, we didn't say this on the air, I wish they would have figured out that you've invested in this show. That shows how much audience is going to respond. I mean, you made the wise decision to invest in this show. I don't know if that hurts you or helps you, but
no, it helps. It helps.
But when this went out, because we are growing as you are, it's kind of a great relationship that we're a small business, you're a small business, we're growing, and it really works hand in hand. But I was taken back the first time because our show is such rightfully or not, and we're all from the South, so we get stereotyped as being a Southern show, and mainly the footprint is
the best accent though in the country.
Right,
obviously.
Mainly the footprint is in the South, and all this. But one of the first raving emails I got about Slawsa came from Baltimore, and it came from Baltimore Raven fans. I think I forwarded that on to you, where they said that Slawsa is now their tailgating standard. They eat it every single game as they're tailgating for the Ravens games. And I knew right then that this would transcend, the Southern culture and the Southern part of the country where our show does have the strongest audience. But when it was appealing as far away as Maryland, I thought, you know what, you guys are onto something. And we eat it at our house. And I even went into it thinking, well, I mean, I'll be glad to promote it. I don't know if this is my thing. And then when I tried it, I could not believe how delicious it was.
Right. And that was the part I was bummed about. Obviously, they're going to put together the segment that makes for the absolute best television. But for them not to show Lori, and you can see if you look, every time you watch her, she's eating it, and then, her plate is clean. But, I wish it would have focused more on the flavor because I think, we've gotten so much support, just the emails that have flooded in after the show saying, I really appreciate everything you've done in terms of trying to grow the company wisely and not take on debt and, everything that we've done. So a lot of people went out or said they were going to go out and buy it just for spite, even though they said this may not be my thing. We got a lovely Facebook posting last night. It was a guy who had avoided cabbage for 20 years. He said, every time I went over to my grandmother's house, I was forced to eat slaw, like a coleslaw, cabbage, or all the sauerkraut. And he said, I hated it. But when I saw you on Shark Tank, I went out to my Kroger, got a jar, and I decided I was going to make myself eat it. And he said, "You have changed my thought process."
Well, however you can get them.
Cabbage.
However you can. Well, and one of the things too, I think, there was a moment you obviously got emotional on the program, and I think that's when the door was open for you to talk about. See, one of the things that makes America great, and unfortunately we have an administration now, and unfortunately a society that doesn't understand that this country has been made great by entrepreneurs. People who said, "I'm gonna go out on my own. I've got an idea. I'm gonna find a way to make it work, and I'm gonna see if I can't get my product to the public and let them decide whether it works or not." And you and your husband have been financially, as you said, fiscally responsible. And you've busted your tails to do it on your own, and there's no other country that you could even be where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't handed anything.
Well, I've done it to you again. I'm so sorry. I'm not.
No, that's okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Well, look, I mean,
we're complimenting you, and look, I think that's where, and see, I think that's something maybe that they missed too. That your passion for doing this. I mean, you've got a track record in handling money and doing it the right way, and you're doing your business the same way.
Right.
Yeah, and you know that feeling. Everybody out there who's ever had that feeling where you put yourself on the line, and we know how that feels, and trying to follow your passion and make it work, and the hours you spent, the money you've spent, the hard work, and when somebody brings that up, there's a certain exhaustion that when you're out there doing it, you're on that high of hard work, and then somebody brings it up, and you all of a sudden feel how exhausted you really are, and that can be emotional.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think some of the emotion even came from some of the family sacrifices that I decided not to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I kind of wonder, and this is Speedy, I kind of wonder if, how winning American Idol sometimes is the worst thing, but finishing in the top 5 or 10 is maybe the best because you're not held to a contract of some kind and you can kind of do things on your own. Do you think maybe this has helped either way just from the exposure of it all?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I got a chance, of the 4 pitches of the night. I think, people had said, well, that was the pitch of the night, and probably the one that people said, I can't believe you didn't get a deal. I can't believe they didn't see the numbers. I can't believe, So having the best pitch of the night, or the one that caused probably the most uproar from the viewers at home in front of, 7 million households, I walked away with a promise that I intend to keep and 100% equity in my pocket.
Well, that's true. So, look, the turn down, Julie, could be a blessing. I mean, it really could, because sometimes be thankful for doors that God closes.
Absolutely.
And we're proud to be endorsers of your product. Love the product, and continue success to you, Julie. Tell your husband we said hello, and I know the Rick and Bubba audience has responded. We'll continue to respond, and we love that entrepreneurial spirit. It's what makes America great.
Keep on rolling, Julie.
Hey, and we've got an Indiegogo campaign. So if the sharks didn't bite, maybe America will. We've got an Indiegogo campaign. Just go to Indiegogo.com and just type in Slawsa, and you'll see what our needs are.
Okay.
Maybe some of your listeners would be able to be so kind to help that way.
Oh, they always respond. Thanks, Julie. And again, thanks for your business very much.
Thank you.
Julie Boucher with Slawsa. It is available. You can see all the opportunities at rickandbubba.com or slawsa.com.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.